First of all, lovely shares.
Thank you.
Fly by Acres, LLC. I'm here with Josh Kroeplien. You've been in the ag business for how many years?
Well, I've been in it my whole life. Grew up
Mm-hmm.
on a dairy farm with my parents.
Yeah.
Moved away for a couple of years, got an engineering degree, and got sick of the politics on that end and came back to farming and didn't want to milk cows, so we got into custom spraying and the crops.
So Fly by Acres. How long have you been in business?
The ag services end has been in business here for about 8 years now.
Right. And things have changed a little bit in the industry since you first started. You were mentioning to me the difference between the way people view farming today as when you first started. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. So when we came back, in about 2015, 2016, there, a lot of farms were still big focus in NPK for their fertilizer inputs. Dairy guys didn't need the P and K just because they're getting it through the manure. And biologicals started hitting the market very slowly at that time.
Mm-hmm.
As a lot of guys called it, it was a bug in a jug.
Mm-hmm.
Was it working for us? Was it not? Nobody really understood them, and they were expensive.
Yeah.
I always like tinkering with things, so I got started with some in-furrow products to back off some of our starters.
Yeah.
And that's what got me into the whole biology end of the crops and working and making our soils work for us instead of us putting all these inputs in, trying to get something out of it.
Right. So when you hear the word bioactive farming, what does that mean to you?
To me, that's just any individual or farm practice that is trying to utilize their biology to the next level. Not just going with the basic easy button route of let's do NPK. These are going to be farms that are taking and using liquid carbon products or actually introducing new bugs into the soil.
Yeah. And the message is being received quite differently today than it was when you first started, 8 years ago. How has that changed?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when we first started talking back in 2015, 2016 to a lot of people, I mean, they were pretty much teasing us, oh, you guys are playing with snake oils and foo-foo juices, and good luck, it'll be on the market for 1 year and gone next. And now we're actually getting people today that are actually coming in and actually wanting to understand why it's working.
Right.
Not necessarily because they want to do it yet.
Yeah.
They just want more education on it because they're intrigued of what they're seeing and hearing for results.
Right. When Fly by Acres has a farm day or a field day, people are coming. I mean, it's a lot different. You said it was like pulling teeth to get people to listen early, and now you open your doors and over 100 people come just to hear you speak, talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, it's resistance at first, and now people are seeing results out there and local results.
Yeah.
So that intrigues people.
Yeah, we're in the Sheboygan, Wisconsin area, so that's great, and it's great. What you're doing. You're a forward thinker, a leader in the industry, and I mean, I'm sure that people around here are glad that you're in their neighborhood. You made a comment to me. Farming's tough right now. Commodity prices are down. Kind of made an overarching comment about how your customers can get by compared to some of the other growers in the region. Talk a little bit about, in general, what do you mean by that?
Yeah. So make it real simple. I got some individuals that are following us and being aggressive with the microbials and biological platform that their input costs on some of their acres is under $100 an acre for fertilizer. Where in today's pricing, a lot of them guys that are doing true commercial fertilizer from start to finish are between a $200 to $300 an acre range.
So when you say that, really the impact for them is when commodity prices go down. I mean, their break even is they can get by where others maybe are really struggling.
Yeah, I mean you're starting at $100, almost $200 an acre advantage just on inputs.
Right. You mentioned a 700-acre farm, not too far from here. He quoted programs 2 different ways.
Yep.
And tell me, what were the differences?
Yeah. So if we would have went with this year 100% commercial fertilizer, they had been over $160 some thousand. And with us now being their third year into this whole biological and microbial package deal, his inputs are going to be about $66,000 or $67,000 for all that fertilizer and that to do the same thing.
So that's almost $100,000 savings on the 700 acres. So
That's huge.
You're looking at about a $228 an acre cost versus just under $100 cost.
Yep, correct.
Yeah. And I mean, what's the key to that?
A lot of that was just building up the soil. We start with basics. Just trying to utilize what's in the soil as far as the bugs. Over the years, I think us as an industry, we've done really good trying to get big yields. But I think we've all sort of put on the back of our shoulder soil health.
Mm-hmm.
And we started seeing here probably in the mid 90s and the early 2000s is we started sticking a lot of salt into our soil, not knowing we did it, with these ATSs. We started with 90-10 blends for our liquid nitrogens, and then we moved up to some 80-20s, and now we started seeing some guys here in the past 5 or 6 years are going a little excessive, and they're doing 70-30. And by doing that, and then, going on and spreading some on with an ATS, and then put some on with a planter with ATS, and then we're coming back and side dressing with ATS. We're seeing that salt content starting to creep up, and that's actually sent some of our bugs or biology backwards. So they're not working at their full potential.
Right.
So what we're doing with these programs is we're trying to build our bugs and our biology back up to not only try to get us a yield and results and profitability this year, but we're trying to build them out and build them up for a marathon and to make our soil better and healthier for years to come.
Right. Return on investment this year, inch your way to a better place, and you get that momentum going.
Correct.
When you look at, saving a customer $100,000 on their input costs, on the 700 acres, you're still buying nitrogen.
Yep.
You're just eliminating some of the other minerals that you can get from the soil and counting on biology to provide them. So
correct.
How does that work?
Yeah. So the simple one that we work on and our big focus is P and K.
Yeah.
They are, number 2 and 3 of our blocks for building a high yielding crop, whether it's corn, beans, and that. So what we're doing with a lot of these biology, some of this biology, is we're making the soil work for us as far as, taking our foliage from the fall, our residue, and breaking it down faster and better, and then using some of these other bugs to help that process expedite. We used to see guys that would take 3 or 4 years to get a standard root ball from a corn plant before it would be fully gone. And now we're starting to see guys that within one full crop season, it's non-existent.
Sure.
And those bugs are breaking it down. And by defect of the bugs is it's actually bringing back some P and K back into our soils.
Right. Your position here is that because there's a lot of phosphorus and a lot of potassium in your soil, you're going to count on the biology to bring that to the crop as opposed to field applying it in a fertilizer form.
Correct. Yeah. So, here in East Central Wisconsin, we're heavy dairy ground. We got, mink in the area, some chicken ranches, but even on what I call commercial crop ground, which is just your commercial fertilizers, are not getting, the manure products. Our P and K levels are at what I would call an average mark in your standard soil samples. And when you listen to other individuals talk at other conferences and expos and that, our soil actually has enough P and K in it for generations to come.
Right.
We just have to figure out how to harness it and utilize it today. And all we're using is these bugs to help break it down and use it today.
Right. And if you're growing a better crop, then your residue has more nutrients in it. If you're maximizing your photosynthetic energy, you're feeding more biology, and it keeps building and building. I like what you talked about too with nitrogen. So your strategy is to use carbon to immobilize the nitrogen and biology to metabolize it into an amino form. but you're able to use less nitrogen because of the addition of the carbon and biology, but mostly it's because you're not leaching it away. You're putting it closer to the plant. The plant's able to get it when it needs to get it. So give me just an idea of, from a nitrogen reduction standpoint, where would you start with a new customer on that?
Yeah. So most of my customers, I like getting them into some sort of liquid carbon product. Big ones that we like to push are the heavy molasses products, which are most commonly known. And we like to start at like a 90-10 inclusion, 90% of nitrogen, 10% of one of these other products.
Yeah.
Now, we've gotten to the point now with some of these products that we're actually stacking some of these biological products out there and carbon products that one of them is actually helping the other one out.
Sure.
And we're already playing with products and doing a 20, and I got some spots where we're going to attempt to do a 30 or 40% inclusion.
So when you cut back your nitrogen by, say, 20%, you can add 10% of like a liquid carbon from like a Boost.
Yep.
And then you'll add 10% Liquid Life into that. And what kind of results can you get from that?
So most of my customers, we tell them, depending on their organic matter of their fields, is we always say at SAFE we should be able to be at par.
Okay.
But we're also at the same time, by doing that, we're building your biology in the soil for next year's crop and future crops. We have seen it on probably 6 out of 10, maybe even 7 out of 10 farms. We're actually seeing a yield increase, even though we're using less units of N. But what's happening is that biology is utilizing it. The sugars are holding it, so we're not leaching it. We're not losing it from volatilization with the guys that are using the Y-drop systems and leaving it on top of the soil. We're just utilizing everything just that much better.
Sure. It's a whole program where you're using better quality inputs, precisionally placed, maybe split applications, having carbon and biology in everything that you're doing, and that's just fueling the whole system.
Yeah. And it's customers are always looking for that one-stop shop, that silver bullet that's going to solve the problem. And not any one of these biological products that we're using is going to be that. It's a matter of combining multiple products together to get a bigger effect. I mean, every product that we've used in our portfolio that we've kept, they all do great by themselves. But they even work better when you start stacking them with somebody else's products. And it doesn't need to be all from company A. We found out there's a lot of products out there that company A, B, and C actually all work really good together when you use them in certain scenarios.
Yeah, a mindful, very cost-effective approach to just farming in a different sort of way.
Yep.
So, well, thank you. I mean, you're a thought leader in the industry, and I can tell by the successes that you've had over the years that you're a real asset to the community, the agricultural community around here. So, thanks so much.
All right, thank you.
All right.